Hi. Well, there's not too many times I'll be on the bookmakers' side, but today could just turn out to be one of them. There's been a bet doing the rounds recently where punter had France-Argentina final, Argentina to win the World Cup, and Messi to be player of the tournament. I was hoping to get paid out at around 1,500 to 1 for a £10 stake, giving about £15,000. Now, the reality is, it is a related contingency. So that's what I'm talking about today. Exciting subject that it is. But to try to understand it, if we take an example and say, well, actually, what I want to do is I want to back Argentina to win the World Cup. Say they're 5 to 1. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to back them to get to the final. Let's call that 2 to 1, and get to the semi-final. Call that evens. Put them into a treble. So I'm going to multiply the odds. So we've got 5 to 1, 2 to 1, and evens. Multiply that 6 times 3 times 2, 18 times 2 is 36. So we've got 35 to 1. So actually, I'm looking to get 35 to 1, basically about Argentina winning the World Cup, when in reality the odds are around 5 to 1. And the way we can tell this is because if Argentina win it, then by default they've automatically got to the final and they've automatically got to the semi-final. So it's a way of inflating the price. Now that's a direct relationship. If we look at the bet that the punter's done, it's France-Argentina 22 to 1. I think Argentina were 11 to 2 to win it, and Messi at 9 to 1 for player of the tournament. And so it's not an absolute relationship, but it's clear enough that it is a relationship. So the Messi bit is probably a little bit difficult to work out. But if we just sort of take him out of the equation for a moment and say, right, got France-Argentina 22 to 1, and let's say 5 to 1 Argentina, just to keep the numbers a little bit easier. If I do that in a double, so I'm getting 22 to 1 and 5 to 1, so that's 23 times 6, which is 137 to 1. So let's have a tenner on that. That will give me £1,380 back. Now what I could also do then is say, let's have a France-Argentina final and have France to win it. And again, keep the numbers simple, 22 to 1, maybe 5 to 1. So again, that would be 23 times 6, 137 to 1, £10 will give me 1380 back. So if I'd done those as doubles, and I was allowed to do them, I've staked £20 and I've got £1,380 back. But the reality is, if it's a France-Argentina final, one of them will automatically win the tournament. So the bet really should just be a France-Argentina final at 22 to 1. So I've staked, in my example, £10 to give me 1380 and another £10 to give me 1380. So I've staked £20 to give me 1380. And the reality is, I should just be able to stake £20 at 22 to 1, which would give me £460. So you can see from that actually the amount or the returns have been inflated. You then add in Messi, and it just becomes even bigger odds that really the punter shouldn't be getting. So unfortunately, on this occasion, I find myself sort of in cahoots with the bookmakers. Actually, I'm in accord. I agree that actually you can't keep doing that. And another example of why you can't keep doing that is if I were a punter going to a shop, I know a few people in the shops, I go to them, look, we'll just start laying these bets down, just little doubles or trebles on related contingencies, and because you've taken the bet, the bookmaker has to honour them. And the reality would be, if that happened, believe it or not, the bookmaker could well go bust very quickly. But it's in reality, it just can't really happen, and punters can't get paid out on that. And that's partly about understanding this related contingency. Now, where I would actually not side with the bookmaker would be on the fact that they've taken the bet in the first place. And this is where I just sort of feel actually probably staff who have been working for these companies for a long time probably just sort of throw their hands up in despair and say, well, how can people actually just be taking these bets? And that's where I would object to the betting companies, because actually what they do is they employ people who probably don't really have much interest in the subject, don't bother to train them or don't give them adequate training, and then just leave them out the front as scapegoats. So yes, bookmakers got to do better on that front, but also long term it doesn't do anything for us as punters, because actually what they're going to do is they're going to look at that and say, well, why do we bother actually taking over the counter business? It just gives us more grief than it's worth. Actually, if we just stick a load of machines in the shop, the punter tries to place it on the machine will just turn around and go, no, can't take it because you're combining these related contingencies. So ultimately, it's probably just going to be the bookmakers are just going to say, well, we'll just stop taking bets in over the counter and just get these machines in and get them to do the work for us. But also, what I've done a previous video, sort of like highlighting the sort of mechanics of betting and the sort of bets that the bookmakers like to take, the accumulators. And now I've noticed that doing these bet builders, and bet builders seem to be a combination, as far as I can see, of accumulators and related contingencies. But the advantage for them on these related contingencies is that the bookmakers choose the price and tell you the price. So if they're doing their job properly, they should be loading in lots of margin to make it worth their while. So today, I'm sort of with the bookmaker, but trust me, there's plenty more videos where I can show you some of the underhand tactics that they use and things they're doing to basically fleece the punters. So after this one, watch a few more of the videos where we'll see what they get up to.